Then apparently people say, no, don't touch, it's the poisonous plant. But then we have tested. From B to B, I shifted from Bengali to botany. Okay. Why it is called money plant? Do you have the answer? Right. Okay.
Sir, do you like biryani?
Yeah, right. So then what is the purpose of scent? Plant produce volatiles.
Okay. To someone who isn't from biotechnology, how would you explain to them the work that you do? To them, you're a scientist.
Yeah.
But apart from that, how would you explain कि आप क्या करते हो?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm that way a bit lucky, the area which I have chosen. So, I can make anyone interested with the work what I am doing. Okay, so for example, I have one relative whose job is doing a small business. So, one day he came to my home and then asked me that, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, look, I am working on floral scent. In other words, flower scent. You all like scented flower? Yes. And then what we are studying is that how flower is making scent and how the scent is released. Now, question is that, so why it interests you? Of course, we have interest from the point of science, from the point of technology. But for a common people, I said that the scent is a very important component. Look, we are dependent on plants for the food. So the food means what? We take mostly the grains. So grain is basically the seed. So that is produced as a result of fertilization. So fertilization, what happens? It happens in the flower. Okay, and then flower, you have this male and female reproductive organs. Okay, and all of them read some biology in their school, so they were aware about the pollen. Okay, so then I said that the pollen need to be carried out from a flower, from the male organ to another flower in their female organ, so that the pollen will sit there, okay, on the top of the female organ, and then pollen tube enhances, and ultimately it undergoes fertilization. So then what is the purpose of scent? We are fascinated with the scent, but flowers are producing not for us. They are producing scent for the pollinators, or in other words, simplified, for the insects who will get attracted by the scent. So they will come, okay, and then what, they will enter into the flower, and then what they will get some reward. What is the reward? They will get some nectar. So we all know this honey, right? Honey. So honey is basically the nectar taken by the honeybees. They are collecting, they are digesting, and then they are vomiting. So that's become the honey. So that is the nectar. So nectar is a food for them. So the pollinators or the insects, they are attracted to the flower in order to collect the nectar, and while collecting the nectar, they'll take some pollen attached in their body and then go to the another flower, and that pollen get attached to the female organ of that flower, which we'll call gynoecium, and then fertilization happens. So that is the beauty. Okay, and I think this everyone will understand why why flower produce scent. Now there are two things that as I am working on fragrant flowers, so these are mostly white flowers.
The white in color.
White in color. And these white flowers, fragrant flowers, they emit scent in the evening.
Oh. Even sir, Ratrani, I think, is a...
Yeah.
That's a common...
Hasnehana Ratrani, that is called Sistrum nocturnum.
Okay.
Yeah, Ratkirani, yeah.
So that's a white flower that has a scent. It's a very, common flower here.
Yeah, and there's one is called this Rajnigandha. Rajnigandha, you know?
Yes, we've heard the name.
Tuberose.
Tuberose, yes.
Right, that's a common one. So that's also, if you notice, tuberose flower, so you can buy a bunch of flowers from any flower shop, and then put it in a vase, right, and put some water, and then the buds will open up sometime, and then you'll notice that the first scent emission occurs at 4 o'clock in the evening.
Oh, okay.
Okay, throughout the day we'll not get it. Then 4 o'clock you'll get a splash of scent emission. Then again at 6 o'clock. Then again at 10 o'clock. So it follows a cycle, a clock, a biological clock. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down.
How does the flower or the plant know the time, or as you said, it has these certain times that it releases these fragrances to attract
Now, that is a good question. Actually, when I said about the white flowers, so white flowers are dependent on the moth, not the bees. Bees are visiting flowers in the daytime, and those are mostly the colored flowers. But the white flowers, they are basically getting pollinated by the moth. Moth always comes in the night. Okay, so basically, what the evolution they adopted in such a way that we have to get it pollinated by the moth. So and the moth comes particular time, and it's not that they will constantly emit scent. Look, scent is a mixture of chemicals. Scent, what you like, it very nice, but it is a mixture of 80-90 compounds. Out of that, there may be around 10-15 major compounds. Okay, so making scent is basically it's a chemical process or biochemical process. It requires a lot of energy, so it cannot continuously emit the scent. Okay, so it has to store the energy, emit the scent, again take rest, make the biochemical machinery ready, and again it emits scent. So it's a nice rhythm going on.
So it's doing all of this so that it attracts these pollinators, and the end of it is the flowers getting pollinated and the flowers becoming a fruit. Is that the So the goal ultimately is so that the plant makes a fruit.
Yeah, that is what it is. But the flowers what I have chosen, like jasmine, like tuberose, so those are fragrant flowers, and these flowers have lot of importance in the industry, because from this flower they are extracting the wax, they are extracting the essential oils. Now what happens that over the evolution, these plants adopted vegetative propagation. That means they are not making fertilization fruits, right? So they can be propagated by the tuber. But the process of scent emission over the evolution, whatever they standardized, that continued.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So there the end goal is not the fruit, because it's not making a fruit. Evolutionary.
No, okay. So basically, over the evolution, they adopted vegetative propagation. Okay, in few species, they are making fruits, but most of the cultivated species which we are using by the industry, so there is hardly fruit setting. But then the question is that why they are emitting scent? I said over evolution, they have standardized, so they are doing. Okay, and we human being are getting advantage, so we are collecting the flowers, extracting the things, and utilizing for our need. But it's not like that, that there are other flowers which emit scent, which attract the pollinator, and fertilization happens. So okay, that's also there. That's mostly.
So, sir, we know that the flowers obviously they're known for their fragrance, and you said industrially also they have many uses, and a lot of flowers do that for making the fruit. There are a lot of other components of the plants that also have their own fragrance, like cinnamon. I think is
Yes, that's a good
an
question.
external,
Yeah, cinnamon.
and then I think mint.
Yeah.
Mint is the leaf.
Yeah.
So then, why do these other parts of the plant also make these scents?
Okay, so that we called aroma. Okay, scent you can say, but scent is not used for cinnamon. So it's basically the fragrance you can say. So now why they are producing? For example, if you come to the cinnamon, so cinnamon bark you all know. So that is used as dalchini, right? Also the bay leaf. Tej pata, we call in Bengali. What you call in India, I do not know. So which is used to fragrance the rice kheer and other.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay.
Sir, do you like biryani?
Yeah. I do. But yeah, nowadays I am avoiding spicy food. So
okay, sir.
yeah, because of my age and health issues. So now why these compounds are producing? These compounds are produced by the plant as a defense compound. So they are synthesized and they are stored. Why? Because any other predators, if they come and to eat the leaves, so they will not do it because this will be toxic to them. So or insects or little bit animals, small animals and whatever. So that happened, and that's for the cinnamon. The interesting point is this. So this fragrance compound which is called cinnamaldehyde, it's aldehyde. So aldehyde is basically toxic, very toxic. So in the most this metabolites, if they are produced in the cytosol, so a cell cannot really retain them for longer time. So it's
These metabolites.
these metabolites, it's excreted out from the cell and then is basically coming out in the cell wall space, and then there it started depositing. So and then eventually when this bark formed, so there in the bark you will get lot of this cinnamaldehyde.
Oh.
Okay, that is what happened in case of the cinnamon. And another good example, vanilla. You all know about vanilla flavor, and now in a big supermarket you can buy the dry vanilla fruit,
Vanillin bean.
which is called botanically it's called pod. It's the vanilla bean. So the scientific name is Vanilla planifolia, which is basically an orchid. And the major compound which is responsible for this fragrance is called vanillin. So that is also an aldehyde. Okay, now if you go to any vanilla plantation field where you may find that the young fruits are there. So if you pluck any young fruit and break it, okay, you will not get any smell. But where you will get the smell? You will get the smell when it is ripened and dead. So what's happened? Is it that in the dead part the vanillin is produced? No, it is not. It is produced in the young fruit, but as I said, it is aldehyde so toxic, then immediately it bonds with the glucose. It makes partnership with the glucose. So when it bonds with the glucose, then it's a called conjugated compound. You will not get the smell unless you chemically break the glucose.
So when the plant is dying, the glucose gets
Getting
over.
released.
So it's breaking from the aldehyde, and
Yeah.
that's why it's releasing that scent, because it's breaking down.
Yeah, it is breaking down the glucose. There is one enzyme called glucosidase activity that is induced. It clips the glucose away, and free vanillin as aldehyde is released. So that is the beauty. And for mint, if you want to listen, I can tell little bit. So mint and other this tulsi family plants. So this fragrance compounds accumulated in the leaf surface mostly. So leaf, if you have studied a little bit of leaf anatomy, so in your school, so perhaps you know the top layer is called epidermis, and then it's called hypodermis, then or palisade parenchyma, spongiparenchyma. So epidermis, the top layer, so that epidermal cells basically getting modified into a specialized structure called trichomes. It's a like balloon-like structure. And what happens? These fragrance compounds are accumulated there in the trichomes, which are the extension of epidermal cells. So that's why when you touch the mint leaves and little bit you scratch it, you'll get the smell in your finger.
So
it's called trichomes. Yeah.
So the trichomes are the epidermal surface.
Yeah.
It's just the epidermal surface in another
Modified.
shape. It's
Yeah,
a modified.
modified.
Okay, and that accumulates these scents.
Yeah. So there are certain cell divisions there because trichome structure is sometimes it has a stalk and then there is a balloon-like things. And some trichomes are like simply a mushroom is coming out, a small budded mushroom is like which is called pelted trichomes, and which have a stalk, and the balloon which is called capitate trichomes. So they're different. Anyway, that's too technical. It's not required.
But why does the mint plant here make these compounds? You also mentioned, sir, that aldehyde is poisonous or toxic to the plant.
Yeah.
So why is it producing that metabolite in the first place?
No. For mint, it is not the aldehyde.
For cinnamon and vanilla.
Yeah. So probably over the evolution, these plants are getting attacked by several animals. Okay, so they have to survive, and that is why they started producing these aldehyde compounds. Same is true, and I can give you a different example like cinchona. Cinchona plant, you know, cinchona.
No, sir.
So it is producing quinine. Earlier, it is used to treat malarial patients. So,
Okay, sir.
so that's called quinine. So it's cinchona is basically a small tree. So okay, so like cinchona, when cinchona started growing from the seedlings, these plants are basically a good food for the snail. So it started synthesizing some alkaloids which will deter the snail. Okay, and then once the plant grows, then it stopped those pathway biosynthesis. It started producing now the cinchona alkaloids. So this is how plants survive in the nature because they are sessile, so they cannot run away. We human being, we the animals, whenever there is a danger, we can simply run away from it. But plants cannot. Plant has to survive. So therefore, they have induced different mechanisms, and these metabolites are called. Earlier, they used to call secondary metabolites. Now, secondary means it's of no use. No, the term is not used nowadays, but still common people are using. So we call it as specialized metabolites.
Okay. So the plant is producing these specialized metabolites like aldehydes and
terpenes. There are a lot of things, and mint actually producing these terpenes. Okay.
And it's because they're sessile, and if there is a danger, they can
so
protect themselves.
Yeah, so maybe over evolution when mints have evolved, so what they found that they are particularly object for a certain group of animals or certain kind of insects. So in order to get rid of that, they started synthesizing these compounds like terpenes. Now maybe now they are out of danger, okay, over the evolution, but still that process continues.
Oh, okay. So what is a terpene exactly? What is terpene?
Terpene basically it's the basic unit is a 5-carbon compound, and then it's called
Is it a carbohydrate or
no. It's a part. It is a type of plant specialized metabolite.
okay?
So it's called isoprene unit, which is C5, and then two isoprene unit joints. It makes C10, 10 carbon compounds. Okay, and then there are different terpenes like monoterpenes, like C10, like C6, so on. So that's complex things. So better not to discuss that.
Essentially, when you know the conditions at which it produces a certain enzyme or a certain metabolite, when you know those conditions, you can then control the conditions, and thereby you're controlling the organism when it's in the lab. Is it that we think that we're controlling the organism? Like when you're doing this, do researchers or do we, as people in the science community, think that we are controlling this organism, this plant, this bacteria? Is that how we view that?
Yeah, we are controlling the environment in such a way so that they produce the metabolites what we are looking for. But here mind it that we are not doing in our lab, we are not doing any genetic manipulation. You can control this by genetically, like you can put a new gene into it. So I worked that during my PhDs and all other things. You can earlier students I guided, but now I have stopped those. So basically, that way you can put a new gene, you can stop a bad gene function, and then manipulate. So that is genetic manipulation. But what we are doing, this is we are basically controlling or manipulating the environmental condition, and see that how plants responds to the environment and produces. Because I said that the plants are sessile, they cannot run away. So when there is a harsh environment, they will adapt themselves by producing these defense chemicals. In jasmine, we work with temperature also, and there we found a particular temperature like 25 to 30 is very good for the jasmine plants to produce flowers, and in that flowers the essential oil content will be higher. So normally what happens, particularly there is one jasmine the state from where I have come, West Bengal. So they are cultivating jasmines. Okay. Now what happens that if summer is too hot, and end of the summer it started flowering one species, another species before. So and what we found that because this high temperature it affect the quality of the oil extracted from them, and therefore the idea was that can we really find out a suitable temperature, and then these jasmines can be cultivated in a poly house, and you can use cooling pad, and then you can cool down the temperature and allow the jasmine to grow and give sufficient light, and it will produce flowers with improved essential oils. So that is what it is. No genetic manipulation.
Okay. Only controlling the external environment and then seeing how the plant responds.
Yeah, and jasmine genetic manipulation is not possible at this moment. I do not know how much you read about plant genetic engineering. Okay, now you can have a gene, you can transfer a gene in a cell, that is not a problem. But then you need a technique called tissue culture where the plant has to be grown. So in case of jasmine, the tissue culture technique is not fully standardized. Second point is that it is basically a woody herb or shrub. So once you plant a jasmine from cuttings, it will take few years until you get the first flowering. Okay, so therefore, if you do this genetic manipulation, it will take years to get the result.
So it's very difficult to do this with jasmine, the gene manipulation.
Yeah, it is not visible. So what people are doing gene manipulation, all things are already standardized. So it's a short life cycle crops. But this jasmine is it's indeed very difficult.
It's so fascinating to listen to you talk about all these different plants, jasmine, mint, and coriander and vanilla, and all these specialized metabolites as well.
Would you like to hear a little bit about another plant?
Please, sir. Please.
Like there is a plant which is called scientifically it's called Combretum indicum. Earlier it was called Quisqualis. The name has been changed. So it's in our language it's called Madhumalti. So it's basically drooping. It's hanging in the inflorescence, and particularly in the summer months you will find. So when the flower opens, it's white. Okay, in the evening. So next early morning when it gets the first rays of sunlight, it started changing its color to pink. Then throughout the day, that pink getting transformed into red, and towards the end of the day, you will find the flower becomes red. So this is a color change. And then when it is white, previous day, it emits scent with a slightly different profile. In the next day, it emits scent in a different profile. Why? Because nighttime white, it emits a different profile of scent to attract a group of insects, whereas in the daytime it emits slightly different to attract another group of insects, so that they can be sure that it is getting pollinated. Not only that, that is linked also with the nectar. So nectar, first it produces lot of nectars in the night, so the insect comes and suck the nectar while doing its pollination. Then when its color changes, then the nectar is almost finished, that again it started secreting nectar, and then it tried to fulfill satisfy the other group of insects so that they can pollinate. So this is very interesting.
Very interesting.
And we studied at the biology level, at the cellular level, like scent emission is a chemical mechanism, but it is basically a biological mechanism. So basically it's regulated by genes. So we studied that, which genes are getting expressed, okay, and then how it makes the scent volatile molecules. So, and then also we studied that if you consider the cell, what happens? A cell, what is there? Central is nucleus, and then mitochondria, plastids, okay. And then when cells are ready for scent emission, it requires a lot of energy. So you will see the plastids, they are making a lot of starch, and then the starch will getting degraded, mitochondria will be active, it makes ATP, and then through that the scent will be released. So these all we have seen using transmission electron microscopy.
I saw your TEM images of the starch molecules yesterday.
So that's a simplified one. But the other things what we have.
So you check under the microscope if the starch, at which temperatures or at which light the starch molecule is
degraded or accumulated.
That is very interesting. Why do we call them volatile compounds?
Yeah, what because they are having this high vapor pressure. So in the temperature in the atmosphere, they will getting volatilized.
So that the molecules reach these attract these
and they are small molecules. Okay, high vapor pressure. Therefore, if you keep it in an open environment, they will just vaporize. Yeah, that's the right word.
Very interesting. So there's such a symbiosis between all these different organisms. In a way, it's a defense mechanism. It's working for itself also, but it's also giving so much to the environment. It's helping out all the organisms. What is it that we could learn from these plants?
That is a good question. Plants are autotrophic. We are not autotrophic, so we cannot learn from the plants. What we can learn, what we should do that we try to save them, because they are getting extinct because of our activities, anthropogenic activities. We are making new cities, towns, and then simply we are clearing the forests and jungles. Okay, plants are basically they are trying, and we need them for our survival. Okay, so that is your theme of the conference also, Earth. So, and because of this temperature rise is because of all this happening, so global CO2 level. So it is important that we should save the plants to protect ourselves, to sustain ourselves for an extended.
That is a wonderful message, and yeah, we could all learn a lot from that. We'll have a short rapid fire segment now, sir. Ananya will take that.
So in this podcast, we are hosting a small rapid fire session. So I will begin with it. You can take small fragment seconds and then you can answer. Yeah. Tea or coffee? Your preference that helps you.
Tea.
Okay. Botany in the lab, botany in the wild.
Both.
Okay. One scientific term that you love using in your vocabulary, which mesmerizes you.
Scientific term, volatiles.
Okay. Favorite piece of lab equipment that you like?
HPLC.
Okay. Can you give thoda on?
So that is called high performance liquid chromatograph.
Okay.
So that is the equipment I was fascinated during my master's time. Okay. And when I was in Pune, NCL Pune, I wanted to use that, but the 2.5 years the equipment did not work.
Okay.
So I was frustrated, and finally I left India. So when I moved to UK, I got a good scholarship from government, and then there I used HPLC a lot. So finally. And then when I have started my own lab, that is the major equipment I purchased from the project grant.
Okay, so if you want a plant scientist, what would you be? What's your second choice in career?
The second choice, it's a good question. Actually, initially I did not get selected in the undergraduate course in botany. Okay, but I was equally interested in literature, so I took admission in Bengali. Okay, from Bengali, and then in the second list my name appeared in botany. From B to B, I shifted from Bengali to botany. Okay. Otherwise, I would have studied Bengali. And still, I read a lot of Bengali literatures. Apart from science.
So you are well reversed with Bengali as well.
Yeah.
All everything.
Take over and other things, right?
Okay. What's harder in this? Publishing a paper or gene manipulation in a jasmine?
Publishing a paper is harder.
More harder than
gene manipulation in jasmine. Gene manipulation in jasmine, if you have time, money, effort, you can make it.
Okay.
But then it is not sure whether you will be able to publish that or not. So
it's doubtful whether it will be published. So that's why it's harder.
No, publishing is a hard job.
Yeah. So, sir, could you describe your work in 3 words?
In 3 words?
Yes.
Or not even sentence?
No, only 3 words.
3 words. Plant produce volatiles.
Okay. One myth about plants you wish people stop believing.
Being a botanist, still I do not know why it is called money plant. Do you have the answer? why they call it money plant. So it's
I don't
basically the indoor plant, so it's just survive with water and it grows. But why it is called money plant, it's not clear to me. Okay, myth is that what I was told when I was a child, that okay, never try to eat anything raw from the flowers or thing. Even in our time, or sometimes what happens that there is a plant called ixora, so people are just simply breaking the small inflorescence and then
I have
suck
done
it.
that, sir. It's
Suck
a
it.
bunch of flowers.
Yeah, bunch of
It's
flowers. Yeah,
small
right.
and you
Okay,
just
yeah.
take
So
that and you get a
little
little
bit of
sweet.
sweeter. So that is what nectar. So we are told not to do that, but it is entirely safe. And now in our garden there is a plant which is called Clerodendrum chinense. So it's an ant plant. So ant love to come to that plant because the plant secretes sugar from the leaf surface or the backside of the leaf. Okay, and ants eat. Then apparently people say, no, don't touch, it's the poisonous plant. But then we have tested. So anything sweet you are getting from the plant, okay, you can taste it. So no, it's safe.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful segment with you.
Sir, what if the plant starts, like, if I do that over some years, if I take the bunch of flowers and keep, taking the little nectar, is it so that the plant will start making a defense mechanism against me?
No, but what you are doing basically, you are plucking it and eating, right? Or chewing or whatever, sucking. So plant will feel that someone is basically damaging my plants. So what they may do at the time, that they may try to modify their epidermal sense and make spines. Okay, and then in that spines there they may create or they make a specialized trichomes which will be filled with the formic acid. So when you try to pluck it and eat it, so basically you will get this formic acid bite, and then it will create a lot of blisters and other
Okay, sir.
things. So,
You fascinated us with so many different plants. I can picture jasmine, vanilla, cinnamon, and what about the specialized metabolites as well. I wanted to ask you about you now. What makes you so interested about plant biology?
I was not so strong in mathematics. Okay, but I did reasonably well in the school and scored good marks in 10 and 12, the biology marks. So and then I felt that with biology and chemistry I can progress my career, but with the mathematics it is difficult. So that is why I had a fear for mathematics. So that actually helped me, or that actually gave me an alternative platform to do science in the biological system. And biology, I liked it from a school days. That is what it is. And then what I mentioned about my grandfather, that when I just took the admission, he said, okay, plant is a fascinating world, and there are a lot of medicinal plants, aromatic plants, so you should study more about that. That will be useful to the society. And then I took it as a challenge, and then I tried to find out plants in the locality outside, collect them, ask professors if they can tell the name of the things. Like that way, slowly I develop interest. And then it's a botanical eye also developed. So whenever a new plant comes, it always catch my attention. That's what it is.
And Professor Mitra, you have had such an extensive career as a teacher, as a professor as well. What do you find more fulfilling, your time with just researching about plants, or being a professor and giving this knowledge to others? How is it for you?
Okay, now one thing I should answer, and that is for all teaching community, that if you are in a university, okay, then teaching and research should go side by side. Okay, unless you do research, you cannot be a successful university teacher. Okay, and then because when you do research, you have to read lot of new things, lot of new papers, and then and that knowledge you can tell in the class. So when I teach a subject in the class, apart from textbook, I will tell all the latest developments, whatever going on. So that research will help.
So it goes hand in hand. Unless you research, you don't know
Yeah.
how you're going to share that knowledge.
Yeah.
That's true. Sir, what is your favorite plant
What is my favorite plant?
or flower?
Oh, that's a good question. My favorite plant or flower is now gardenia. Gardenia, you know, the Gandharaj. So it produces a very nice fragrance. So that is my favorite flower because there's one Gandharaj species. It's called Gardenia carinata, which actually again changes its color, and with color changes it emits different scent. Initially it was fan-shaped flower, and then it is white, then it turns lemon yellow, then deep yellow, then it turns to saffron color. And frankly speaking, you have heard about this Jaffran,
Saffron?
yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the saffron component, which is called crocin and crocetin, that accumulates in that flower,
Okay.
and it makes that color. What you get in the crocus, the stigma color, that orange, deep orange color, which is called saffron color, this flower also producing that, and the component is also present that we have also detected. So we are fascinated, and I got a good big research project from Government of India to investigate at fundamental level. So
We could keep listening to you because you have such a flow with how you speak. This could go on and on and on, but we have, for reasons, end it here.
yeah, it's okay.
And I have one request, sir. If you could look into that camera, that phone, and tell our viewers to like, share, and subscribe
Yeah.
in your own words.
This platform is indeed very good, and it will give the viewers an insight of different scientific aspects. Like, share, and subscribe to Adaptiv.